Good morning. It's my absolute pleasure to be hosting a series of podcasts where we will be talking to the next generation of lawyers at MSB, from our paralegals through to our new partners. And in this episode, I've got George, who is just about to become a trainee. So at the moment, he's a paralegal. And I've got Julia, who was a paralegal, and she's now a trainee solicitor at MSB. So would you like to tell me how you've got to where you are now? What has your journey in law been to date?
I'm originally from Poland, and I moved to Liverpool in 2016 to start a law degree. I had no idea what I was expecting even of that degree, so it was all new to me. And when I graduated in 2019, Julia and Julia asked me to come and do work experience with her at MSB, and I absolutely loved the firm. I loved the atmosphere, and I was lucky enough to be offered a paralegal job after that work experience, and now I'm here in social housing department, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. And how about you, George?
So mine was sort of the traditional route, so the usual route of GCSEs, A-levels, and then while I was in A-levels, picking subjects that might have fit into a law career.
Right.
I worked for a bank part-time, business banking, for 3 years while I was doing my undergraduate, the LLB, and then we went into lockdown as I was finishing it. So I was actually meant to travel for a year. And then with lockdown, I thought I'll get the LPC over and done with. So I did the LPC after I finished my LLB straight away, full-time during lockdown from home. And then was lucky enough to obviously be offered the job at MSB within social housing as well. So started as social housing paralegal in June last year, and then was offered my training contract as well earlier this year.
Okay, that's great. And you might not remember, Julia, but I did a talk at Liverpool University, and I met you there when you were a student. Yeah. Obviously, your journey is slightly different from George, and not only did you move cities, but you moved countries to come here and follow a path of law. So what made you want to go into law? What made you want to leave your home country and come here and study law?
You know what? I do ask myself this question every time somebody asks me. I find it really, really difficult to answer this question because I'm not too sure. So I've always wanted to be a lawyer. My mum was a lawyer back in Poland, and I love seeing what she's doing, and I just found law really fascinating.
And what kind of lawyer is your mum?
It's a bit different in Poland because her area of expertise is quite wide because she does both civil and family. So I would say she does everything but crime.
Okay, so she's more like a general practitioner than niche. And so I suppose the question is, why did you decide you want to be a lawyer in the UK rather than back in Poland?
I think that the main thing was that I wanted some sort of a challenge.
Okay.
And when I was younger, I was very interested in international law, European law. And I just thought that I definitely wanted to be a lawyer, just didn't know what exactly.
What country?
I wanted to do, what country. You may say that. And I just thought that doing law in the UK would open many more doors than just doing law in Poland. And I just ended up doing social housing, loving it, and that's what I will be doing in the future.
Okay. And George, you did you go to Liverpool University or?
So I went to John Moores.
Right,
so I did both me LLB and the LPC in John Moores.
Right, okay. So you are homegrown, yeah?
Homegrown.
And that's the same as me. I went to Liverpool University and I never moved away. So you started off in social housing. So tell me a little bit about why you chose to go into law and what kind of lawyer you would like to be.
So I chose initially to go into law. I always wanted to go into law, when I was younger, mainly because I think I had my nanda on the back of my neck saying you need to be a lawyer because I was argumentative when I was a kid. So started off in that way. And then there was a lot of things with my school when I was going through that sort of led me into that pathway. Right. So that's essentially why I started it. And then I loved it. I started off a little bit rocky during the LLB because it was a bit of a shock to the system. But while I was actually progressing through second year, third year, I just absolutely loved it.
And what was it like studying during lockdown? Can you give us an insight into that?
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard, especially finishing the LLB. It was 3 years worth of work. That was sort of at the back burner because everyone didn't know how to handle it, didn't know how we could do our exams, didn't know how to do pretty much anything during lockdown. It was completely unprecedented. Excuse me. So it was hard. It was very hard because the tutors themselves, as much as they were trying to help you, they couldn't really give you an answer to some of the questions that you were asking. But the LPC as well, that was 100% through Zoom. I even made exams as well through Procter & software. So it was a shock. But it was a good experience. It was something different to the usual, the norm.
Well, it's a part of history, isn't it? So you can actually say that you did study during lockdown. Yeah. So we'll look back in years to come and all talk about our experiences. Okay, when you're first starting out, what would you say now, Julia, that you're very happy doing social housing, but what did you want to be? What type of lawyer did you want to be?
I don't know if you remember that when you had a talk at Liverpool Uni, I did speak to you after I told you I was doing work experience. And I think I asked a question at this talk about family law.
Right.
And being a family lawyer and from the business perspective, because that's what I wanted to do. Okay. I was really interested in family and immigration, and it all changed when I started at MSB and did a bit of family with Joanna. Okay. And realized that I don't really enjoy that much. But I was very lucky that I was actually in the civil litigation department. So I was exposed to different types of legal work as well, and realized that I was enjoying that type of the job much more. So when I started at social housing a year ago in April, I didn't know what social housing was. And I remember Louise said that I would be working in compliance, and I tried to Google what compliance was and didn't find the answer. So I was sort of thrown at the deep end, not knowing even what to expect, but it turned out to be the best thing for me.
That's great. It's good that you found where you feel happy and where you want to expand. And George, I know you started out in social housing, but you're just about to try other areas of law. So what do you think will be where you will want to qualify as a lawyer? Or do you not know yet,
Well, I don't know just yet exactly where I want to qualify, but I always had the vision of, I think it was Suits when the TV show, obviously everyone watches Suits when they're studying law, but it was always the big Harvey Specter character I wanted to be. The property deals or obviously the company deals that they used to do. So
so Brad is our Harvey.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Well, it kind of brings me on to the next question, because I was going to say, do you watch any programmes about law, either fictional or non-fictional? And obviously you watch Suits. Yeah. And how do you, what characters do you associate with? And do you feel they are, I mean, obviously Suits is American, but is it realistic?
I think Suits is a very over dramatic version of what working in a law firm is, but you do like to pick up associations with sort of people. You like to take inspiration as well. I take a lot of inspiration to try and go into a room with as much confidence as I can, and that's something that I've been working on since I've started in MSB as well.
Okay.
But I love How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay, I haven't seen that. No, have you seen? Yeah. Okay.
American again.
Yeah.
Is it fictional?
Fictional, very fictional, yeah.
Very fictional.
But it sort of focuses, like a few of the seasons focus on the side of it might be the actual lawyers who are committing the crimes and how they interpret the law to sort of get themselves away out of any trouble. But obviously it's not something that I'll take influence from directly, but
definitely not.
Yeah,
No.
definitely not. But it's good to see that side of law, like something that I'd never actually considered.
So is that crime, obviously?
Yeah. Mainly criminal, yeah.
And how about you, Julia? Is there anything that, or maybe as you were growing up, you watched series about the law or a film about the law? Or
I think before I moved to the UK, I watched this British drama Silk.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed that. And it really helped me to sort of understand what barrister's role was, because coming from Poland, I come from a completely different legal system.
Absolutely.
Completely different professions, nothing even remotely similar to what barrister's role is.
Okay.
So it really helped. And I think it's definitely, it was definitely fictional and, well, and not really now knowing what I know now. I know that reality is quite different, but I think it's good for the people to have an insight into the profession.
I think Silks is quite realistic, to be honest, and certainly the role of clerks and how they, work solicitors in order to get the work for their barristers, and so I could see lots of similarities in Silks to situations that have arisen during my career. But I really enjoyed Silks. That was a really good series. How about do you listen to any podcasts or anything about the law or?
To be honest, I'm not a huge podcast listener. So MSB's podcast were probably one of the first ones that I actually listened to. So I have been lucky enough to watch the first season of obviously The Journey, our podcast. So I think that even someone for me to work with people like on a daily basis and actually see them give their side of how they progressed in their career is amazing, because I might work with someone daily, but I don't always get the time to sit down and actually talk about.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been partners with those people for many years, and I didn't know their story or how they had got to where they were. So, it was really informative for us as well. So absolutely. Okay. How has MSB lived up to your expectations or your ideas of what a law firm would be like?
I think it exceeded my expectations of what the law firm was like, because I never expected that I would be in a law firm so supportive of my career, and that I would be getting so much training and so much people would be taking so much time of their day to actually teach me, because you hear all about competitiveness in law and how it's difficult to progress in law. But I think I was really lucky for MSB to be my first legal role. I don't have anything to compare it with, but
and nor will you ever.
Nor will I ever. But it's
okay. And you, George?
Yeah, so it was very different to what I actually expected from watching. Yeah, I did a little bit of work experience when I was doing my A-levels in a local high street firm, and that was obviously, it was very close. It was a small little, I think it was a house that had been converted into into an office. So actually coming into MSB, it was a shock, because I always had this association of everyone was going to be very intimidating, especially with the position. It's not at all like that. I've been lucky enough to actually have really great networking events, go to social events with some of the partners, and had a really great time. And that was a shock to me, because I thought when I was going to come in, it was going to be the hierarchy of who you can speak to, who you can't speak to. Right. And everyone has actually been so supportive of my progression as well, especially working within social housing as well. Louise has supported me, guided me throughout the whole year of working there.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Have either of you got a lawyer from history who's inspired you, or a particular case that kind of gave you a passion for the law?
obviously was very interested in, as being from Liverpool, very interested in the Hillsborough inquiry and obviously Anne Williams's impact and obviously her influence throughout the Hillsborough inquiry. That was very obviously inspiring to me, because the actual the inquiry was going on while I was still in school.
Right, okay.
So in our sixth form block, we'll sit around the telly and obviously come out, sit there and watch the actual results from the case. But I draw a lot of inspiration as well, and I like to take a lot of inspiration from the actual No More Knives. That the campaign. Basically, unfortunately, while I was in school, one of the lads who I went to school with, Sam, was murdered in town. And obviously, since then, they formed the No More Knives campaign in Liverpool to actually increase and basically try and eradicate knife crime, especially within Liverpool.
Increase publicity around it and awareness around it, so that people and young people know the consequences of carrying a knife.
Exactly.
Oh, well, that's great. And Julia, have you?
I've mentioned my mum already, but I also was really impressed by famous women that were in law, like Amal Clooney. And what she does, that she practices both in the UK and in the US, and it's just being an incredible lawyer. And I think she's, even though I do completely different law than her, as she deals more with human rights law, she is an inspiration. And I absolutely loved when at the royal wedding, I've seen a picture that was signed Amal Clooney and her husband. So I aspire to be that person.
Absolutely. And okay, both of you, just to kind of round it up, where do you both see yourselves in 5 years' time? What would you like to achieve in the next 5 years?
I qualify in September 2023.
Right, okay.
So in 5 years' time, I will be a solicitor. At MSB in social housing, hopefully an associate as well.
Okay.
And I just hope that I will still be enjoying my job and I will still be growing.
Great, that's fantastic. Well, I'm sure you will if Louise has got anything to do with it. Yeah. And how about you, George?
Yeah, so pretty similar. So obviously I haven't started my training contract just yet. Start at the end of the month, beginning of next month. So that for me, obviously, I see myself qualifying within 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a solicitor. Obviously, the ideal situation would be to progress all the way through from associates to the top.
Yeah, you're after my job. You want to be sat here? Not in 5 years.
maybe 20 years for me. But no, that's obviously what I would love to be able to say. But I actually want to try and help the younger students that were in a position like me that were very confused and didn't know where they stood and how to actually enter into law, because I was the same. I struggled, didn't know how to enter, didn't know the best thing to do, and always was scared when people were getting jobs then I wasn't. And that's what I'd love to actually give advice.
Maybe tell us a little bit about what you're working on as trainees and what we want to deliver out to young the children becoming, so tell us a little bit about that.
So we're actually going to be doing, I think from September, a presentation to schools for children from backgrounds that obviously need a lot more support and explaining the alternative routes into law.
Yeah, and you've all been working on that together, haven't you? Which is a really good thing to pull together, because you went through the traditional route, and in many ways you went through the traditional route. It just meant that you moved countries, but there are so many different routes now to qualifying as a solicitor. And when I first qualified, there was only really the traditional route, but it's really good to see that the profession is becoming more accessible. But we need to shout about that and tell young people that it is, so that people from all backgrounds can access it.
Do. And a problem about even when people go to universities, because I didn't have anyone in the UK who practiced law, so there was no one to guide me. And I'm really thankful that I got a mentor in second year of uni who told me that she was a paralegal before she started her training contract at the firm that she first worked at, because I don't know how about you, George, but in my university, it was sort of you do uni and then you apply for a training contract and you get a training contract. There was not much about being a paralegal and gaining this experience before being a trainee.
Yeah, no, it was pretty similar in my university. It wasn't really pushed to, we always advertised jobs, but never pushed to go and be a paralegal, get the experience.
Right, okay. So that's something that you can help and teach and mentor and tell the young people coming through. Yeah. Okay, well, have either of you got any questions you want to ask, or...?
Just obviously, I love hearing about how your journey was to obviously reaching the top. But
I don't think we've got time. Yeah, very quickly. Mine was a very traditional route to the law in that I went to Quarry Bank, which became Calderstone School in Liverpool, did O-levels, did A-levels, went to university, got the law degree, did the LPC, and then got a training contract. But I have done, I was going to say serve like it's a prison sentence, but I've been at MSB my entire career. And often when I interview people, I think, oh my God, how brave are they? Because I haven't done an interview for a job since I got my training contract back in 1999. But yeah, I mean, I was the first female trainee, first female lawyer, first female partner, first female managing partner at MSB. But we were a firm then of 25 people and we're a firm now of 200 people. So I've been really lucky and fortunate in my career to be a part of something and see it grow. And it's important for me to be and see you grow and see what you're going to achieve. I mean, when I retire, I want to be watching your careers flourish and all the great things that you will be doing and contributing towards our profession. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. It's really important for us that we support the next generation of lawyers. And it's also really exciting for me to see amazing lawyers coming through MSB and the contribution that they will make to the future of our profession. If you want to hear or find out anything more about MSB, in particular career paths and options, every year we do a paralegal recruitment drive. Every year we do a trainee recruitment drive. You should visit our website and look on our careers page. We also do lots of things to give back to the community we serve. We write lots of blogs about topical issues within the law, and these can be accessed through our social media platforms on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.